So what's up, everybody? This is Umair. As you guys know, we are running and expanding real estate investor communities all across the country. Today, I'm actually in Utah visiting a friend's property. I'm gonna walk you guys through this deal, and then he's gonna show you how he's made over 7 figures just by understanding multiple real estate investing strategies. Thanks for tuning in. Comment below and check it out. All right, folks, we're getting ready to go in. We've got some other people here checking out this local property tour. So I'm gonna walk you through it.
Used to be a videographer, actually ran my own video production company for over a decade, and that's what we did. We had great clients, we had Fortune 100 clients, and the company brought in a lot of money, but even more money went out, paying vendors, employees, rentals, all that kind of stuff, renting equipment. And so we were in a position where we decided we needed to do something different. We said, okay, we're ready for a change, what better than real estate? So everything lined up, and we joined the group, we became students, we purchased the education, and then it was kind of funny, it all happened at the same time. We actually bought the courses, got started, and then right thereafter, Bob was like, you gotta come work for me. So we did, or so I did. So that's how we got started. We dove in, started studying as much as we could, meeting as many people in the community as we could, said, this is called motivation, let's make this happen, let's make it happen fast. So this property was our fourth flip, I believe, that we picked up. This was the fourth one that we picked up. We call it Grandma's house, affectionately. We've got some before and after pictures. When we bought it, it was not trashed, it was simply outdated. And so it was one of those, it was an older couple who lived here. They lived here for 20-something years, and they were moving. So it was just really outdated. So I'll show you a couple of photos. This is the room where we are right now. You can see the before and the after. So we did primarily cosmetic changes. We did a little minor structural updates, but basically everything you see, texture, trim, doors, flooring, electrical, plumbing, bathrooms, kitchen, everything. We blew out some walls, replaced some windows. That window's broken, that was from our tenant, that was not us. So we made some good updates. This was the kitchen before and after. It's probably the biggest contrast. We actually blew this wall back. So that wall, if you notice the kitchen, it's called a galley kitchen. It's really nice and large. It's because we actually extended it by 5 feet, blew it back into the laundry room, which still is a huge laundry, but anyways, a little bit better now. Familiar with the term house hacking? Who can say what house hacking is?
You land in the property and rent it out or fix it up or something.
Yeah, so living in the property that you already own, somehow creatively fixing it up, renting it out, figuring out, like you're a college student and you buy a house and then you rent it out to 7 of your buddies, so you end up living there for free and then actually making money to live while you go through college, right? That's like the most common way when people think house hacking, that's what they do. So we said, how can we make this better? And so that's what we've got, extreme house hacking here. So step one, if my pen is going to work here. Okay. So step one is acquisition. Okay, so step one, acquisition. And I have notes here. So yes, I'm cheating off these notes. That's because I want to make sure I'm giving you guys accurate numbers. For me, it bothers me if somebody's like guessing on their numbers. I want to make sure I'm giving you truthful information. So I actually went through and double checked all these numbers to make sure that I'm not exaggerating anything. I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the accurate numbers. So this property, we bought it in 2016. Any guesses what we bought it for? Some of you already know. It's 2,600 square feet. It was a 4-bed, 2-bath. No, it was a 3-bed, 2-bath, built in 1968.
300.
300?
200.
140.
So they had it listed for 195 is what they had it listed for. And we actually purchased it for 180,000. Now the interesting about that is they had offers for over 200. Cash offers for over 200. But because of the negotiation strategies that we've learned, we were able to beat out all the other guys and get it for 180, for 15 less, or actually it was 20 less than some of their better offers. So we picked it up for 180,000. Now, one of the things with real estate that's really important is you have to have money to do real estate. It doesn't have to be your money. So, how much out of pocket do you guys think we spent to purchase this property?
20%.
Who said 20%? You're out of here. I don't know how they do things over there in DC.
No, just
But here in Utah, nothing out of pocket. Now, where did I get this? Christian mentioned at the beginning, mindset, knowledge, and relationships. Relationships. Relationships that we had built with friends in the community. We had a phenomenal deal that we were able to pick up. There was plenty of equity. There was plenty of upside. So we were able to get the money, all the money we needed to purchase the property without any out of pocket. Now we fully renovated it. We put 40 grand into the reno for the project. And now we could have sold it at that point in time. It took us about 4 months to do the project, and we could have sold it. We would have netted about $40,000, which would have been a nice net profit. In and out, no money in the deal, would have been great. We chose not to do that, and we said, let's go and do something more. Let's continue rather than just stopping at 40 grand. Let's continue. So that's where we come to the next spot, the next step, which is the refi. Now, when you think about refinancing a property, what do you typically think? What would you do if I said, hey, go refinance your property? What would you say to do?
Go to a bank.
Go to a bank, and then what are you going to ask for?
A refinance.
Refinance into a
A
mortgage, right? That's the common thing. Say, work with a bank, refinance into a mortgage. So one of the things that we learn in our group, not just investing strategies, but financial strategies. And so you may or may not know this, but a mortgage is actually the most expensive way to pay for your house. So we don't like expensive. We like inexpensive. And so what we did is we went to the bank and we said, hey, we want to refi, but we want to refi into a HELOC. Anybody know what a HELOC is? Home equity line of credit. So it's a line of credit that's secured by the property. We said, look, we got this HELOC, and they said, hey, you guys just bought this property like 4 months ago. You can't refinance it yet. We're like, actually, we can. Do an appraisal, you'll see we've got plenty of equity. So they said, okay. The appraisal came back. Remember, we bought it for 180, and the appraisal came back at, whoops, having issues with my, the appraisal, pen keeps turning off. Appraisal came back at 280.
Nice.
Now, on public record, we only owed 160. So in the bank size, we had $120,000 in equity. So they're like, well, yeah, we can refi it. You've got equity, right? A house that's worth 280 and we have $120,000 in equity. They're like, yes, we can do that. So we were able to go ahead and refi with them. Now, by doing that, when we got in, we were able to start with a strong equity position, right? Going into it. No down payment, because the equity was already there. And here's the best part, the monthly payment. What would a typical mortgage be for a $280,000 house? Mortgage payment. 1,200. Yeah, it depends on your interest rate, right, and how much down. But yeah, probably $1,200 to $1,500. Our payment. Yes, that's right. $185 a month. That's like what you pay for a storage unit. Seriously.
Is that
Or-
because you're paying off the 160?
No, because interest.
Because it's a HELOC, the payment structure, rather than being an amortized payment, it's an interest-only payment. But using the debt paydown strategies that we have, we were able to pay it off very quickly. But the required monthly payment for the house was $185 a month. Now that was at the beginning. Every month it actually went down. That was the highest it was, but it started out at $185. In that we had a bathroom, we had a bedroom, so it's a 5.3 now. Worked great. So we refied, we moved in, so that's step 2. Okay? Refi. We good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going. If you guys have questions or concerns, please
Why did
interrupt.
the county think it was 160?
Because we are our first position trustee that was recorded against the property from the lender that gave us the majority of the funds to acquire the property. That was they funded, I don't remember if it was 80 or 85% loan to value on the acquisition, which totaled 160. Yeah. So that's why, according to public record, the only debt that was recorded against the property was 160.
Huh.
So when the bank went in for the refi, they said, you owe 160, because that's
You're
all that's
like,
on public
"No,
record.
sure."
It's worth 280. Yeah. Okay, we can do it. So, good question. Any other? Please, if you have any questions, feel free.
So how was it 185 a month?
Because it was a HELOC.
Yeah. what
Interest
was your
only.
percentage?
You know what? I don't honestly remember what the percentage rate was.
Yeah.
Three,
And that
2
wasn't
or
on the,
3%. I don't want to misquote. I don't remember. I could do the math, but yeah. It's,
was it on the full like 260?
No, so when we finished the refi, all we owed was 90.
Ah, okay.
We owed 90 on it.
Got it.
Once the dust settled, we just owed 90.
Cool. That makes more sense.
Okay, so now, step 3. Step 3 is, let's pay it off. Okay, now that we've got the property, now that we're living, now let's focus on paying it off. So we have the different debt payoff strategies. We were doing some other flips at the same time. We had another one in Roy, we had one in Salt Lake. I think that was about the time we picked up one in Layton as well. Anyways, we had several different flips going on. And with the debt payoff strategies that we have, if you keep your same income and lifestyle, you can pay off debt in a fraction of the time. But if you add in extra income because you're doing other investments, you will accelerate that exponentially. And that's what we were able to do. Most people, if you were to look at your current income, debt, or your situation, on average, about 5 years you'll be out of debt. It's your current numbers, no changing. Now, because we were increasing our income from the other flips we were doing, we were actually able to completely pay off this house in 6 months, which was awesome because remember, we didn't have a mortgage, we had a HELOC. Now this HELOC has a limit of $245,000. It's a line of credit. So I can just go to the bank and say, give me this much money, or stroke a check for that amount. So now with the house paid off and that $245,000, that's where we go into the next step. Time to start accelerating and duplicating the growth in this property. Oh, by the way, this house, we bought it for $180. If we were to sell it today, how do I know that? Because last week we almost listed this property. We changed our mind. You'll see why. But yeah, we were going to list it, and conservatively, I mean, we would have got between $475 to $500 for it.
Did you mention that you moved into this property to change the strategy?
I'm sorry.
Did you mention that you moved to this property? Because that helps a lot what you are doing, right?
Yes, in step 2 we refied. Oh, did I not clarify that?
Yeah.
When we refinanced, we moved in. Sorry if I didn't make that clear. We refinanced and we lived here. So basically it was a brand new house, no down payment, no money out of pocket to buy it or rehab it or move in, $185 a month, and then we lived here in a brand new house that we just, I mean, the house isn't brand new. It was built in '68. Guys, I mean, this is a nice looking rehab. This is 5 years old. Imagine what it looked like 5 years ago when we moved in. It was brand new. It still smelled fresh. Now it doesn't smell fresh. But it was a brand fully renovated to our personal preferences. So yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. So payoff $475, but we're keeping between $475 and $500 is what we'd be looking at to sell right now. Okay, let's go to, that was step 3. Now let's do step 4. Step 4.
Excuse me, right, quick.
Yes.
So you were, you had a house before, but you having a higher mortgage payment.
Yes.
So now from that mortgage payment, you came to this to pay like 185, right?
Our other mortgage payment was $18.50 a month.
Right. So now you get a 0, it was 185 now.
Yes, we basically shaved a 0 off of our, and it was $18.49 a month was that payment, so $18.50. Yeah, it was one.
Wow, that's.
Just take off that last 0, so that was nice. And the funniest thing was when we moved here, and this is a really important. I want all you guys to take this away. We bought this house about 10 months. No. We bought it 6 months after we got started. And with the group and investing and everything. And so my family members and friends and stuff, when they saw us move from the other house, which was larger and newer, to this house, their response was, "We're really sorry, that things aren't working out for you with this new real estate." Like, it's okay, you get back up on your feet, you're young, you got opportunities. And we would try to tell them, guys, you don't understand. Like, we're making more money now than we've ever made. Right, okay, it's okay, guys.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, good attitude, whatever. Like, because they didn't get it. And that's because most people, as their income increases, they just go up for $305,000. Now we were able to get it for such a good price because it was non-performing. Do non-performing buildings scare us when we're educated investors?
No.
We love them. So what we did when we picked it up, we actually did what's known as a commercial flip. So here we're standing in a residential flip, right? This is a residential fix and flip. Commercial fix and flips are different. You're focused more on NOI, net operating income, and on improving the performance of the business rather than making it look pretty. But anyways, with a commercial flip, at the beginning, the first few months, actually it was like we bought it in April. The first 5 or 6 months, we didn't cash flow that thing because we were trying to get tenants out and get the meth remediated and the bugs and all that stuff. We got it up, we got it performing, and then our net cash flow on that net was $2,000 a month. Net cash flow. Now that's our gross was about $4,700 a month. But gross doesn't matter. What matters is net, right? After all of our expenses and everything, we were at $2,000 a month. Now how did we fund that? We took some of the money off the HELOC from here and then purchased that. Put that as a down payment there. So up to this point, we're still 0 out of pocket. We're just bouncing from one property to the next to the next. We had that property for a couple years. In total, our total net on that was about $60,000 after all expenses. On that property. Did we sell it?
Yeah.
Are you skipping ahead? You've heard this story before. Not yet. Now this property is it was built in 1898. So it's 123 years old.
Wow.
It has some deferred maintenance to it. So after we got it performing, got some nice cash flow, we said, we're done. We're gonna sell this and get away from it because we don't want to deal with any potential issues. So let me just. So we definitely. This is where we do sell it. Sell it 5. Okay. So the cool thing is when we sold that property, we sold it subject to, meaning we sold it using the existing commercial mortgage on the property. So we sold it using. So we seller financed it, but we didn't finance the seller financing. The bank financed the seller financing through us. Does that make sense? So let's say Levi's the buyer. Was the buyer. Actually, the buyer's name was Ryan. Same name as me. But we'll pretend his name was Levi. So Levi came and said, hey, I want to buy your property. We said, cool. It's a commercial unit. Do you want to have to qualify with the bank for commercial? No, you don't. Give us a down payment. We will finance the rest of it to you with a 5-year balloon. Meaning monthly payments, and in 5 years you must either refinance out and pay us a lump sum, or you sell it and then we get paid. either way. The way that we structured it, we didn't put any of our money to finance it. It was the bank's money that we were acting as an intermediary on. Levi's happy, he gets the property, and we are making, you know, we're making a spread on the interest, we're making a spread on the amortization, we're making a spread on the buy and sell, we're making a spread on everything. This whole story of all 8 of the steps is combining like 6 different, completely different strategies. So I kind of use the example of we're chefs. If you have somebody who doesn't know anything about cooking and has a bunch of like spices and ingredients, like they can make food, but it's probably not going to taste very good. But then if you have somebody who's like a gourmet chef, trained, like they know what they're doing, they can take those exact same ingredients, mix them together, and create a phenomenal feast, right? That's the difference, is that we, as educated investors, we have all these different strategies and we can combine them into ways that people don't think of. And then that produces much more greater results. So on the seller fi, we sold it. So we sold it subject to the pre-existing financing for $435. So we bought it for $305. We sold it for $435, and that was in 2020, the year 2020. Now we required a down payment. We wanted to have the buyer have skin in the game, so we required $110,000 down payment. The buyer is currently making monthly payments. I honestly don't even remember what the total amount is that he's paying. All I know is that I get $1,000 because his payment covers what he owes to us, and then a big chunk of that goes towards this debt service, the underlying debt service that we still technically have under our company. That's satisfied, and then the remainder, which is $1,000 a month, is what comes to us as cash flow. Now you might say, well, why would you, up here you were getting $2,000 a month, why would you want to sell it and only get $1,000 a month? We have our reasons. Granted, we're getting less cash flow now. Are we responsible for the deferred maintenance?
Nope.
And we knew when we sold it, and we told him there's over $60,000 in deferred maintenance that needs to be done on the building. And he knew it when he bought it. We're honest. We're like, this stuff needs to be done. In fact, the same property manager that we used still manages it to this day. So he gave a lot of insight. No, that's not our problem. Taxes, not our problem. Tenants having to be evicted, not paying, not our problem. None of it. That's not our issue. We are the bank. We simply get our money every month. What happens if he stops paying? We'll foreclose on it. We'll take it back. Do you think he's going to let us foreclose?
No.
He has $110,000 in. No. So I'm not concerned. But if he did, we're fine. We'll make out even better. But I don't see him stopping paying. So $1,000 a month. Now we have a balloon. A balloon, sometimes it's referred to as a call. We have a balloon payment in 2025, right? Because it's 5 years after, in 2025. And our net off of that, once again, I don't remember the total amount, it's 3 something, but the balloon is, what we're going to net on that is going to be $125,000 off that net. Off of that balloon. So, or actually, so our balloon, so basically we were 110 down, we're $1,000 a month for 60 months because it's a 5-year term, then 125,000 on the balloon on the back end. So our total on that transaction is 295,000.
More than people make in years.
Yeah. And how did we acquire that property? 0 out of pocket, leveraging another property that we acquired, 0 out of pocket. Starting to see a pattern here, right?
Quick question.
Yeah,
So when you bought that 6 place, you bought it with a mortgage or was it?
a commercial mortgage, yeah.
Commercial mortgage.
So if you look on my credit report, none of this shows up. I don't have a mortgage on that property, one of our companies does. Yeah. And we used an all-inclusive trust deed to subject to it over to him. So, and then like we've got all the ways that we're arbitraging what we're doing with him. So all in all, yeah, we're 295.
Is there a reason you used a mortgage on this one instead of using another line of credit?
it was basically boiled down to the ease of, well, at that point in time, we didn't have a large enough line of credit to be able to finance it. We put down, it's like 70,000 as a down payment that came from the HELOC here, and then it just in running the numbers, it made sense to just do a commercial mortgage and call it good. So, and our commercial mortgage has a 10-year balloon on it, but our seller finance purchaser has a 5-year. So his call on his note is actually 2 years before our call. So technically, we could, well, no, we're not gonna go there. When he pays us, we're gonna pay it off and be done with it. But there are other ways of handling it, but we're not gonna do that. Okay, so 295. So that's step 5, seller fi. We good? I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers and a lot of steps at you guys. Step 6.
Delicious feast at this point.
Yes. Step 6 is free dream home. Now, I'm not being facetious here. Literally. This was, so we lived in this house here for 3 years while we were doing this, and then we said, okay, we're ready to expand. There's only 3 or 5 of us in our family, but we said, we're ready now to go and live in a place where we're a little more comfortable. So we designed and built a 5,100 square foot house, 7 bathrooms, or 7 beds, 5 baths on a half an acre. Some of you know that house, it's gorgeous. And, but being real estate investors, we said we are not going to pay for this house. We gotta figure out how to make our investments pay for it. So, our down payment on the house was $110,000. Where do you think that $110,000 came from?
Yeah, 6-plex.
That's right. Good old Ryan, remember that was his name, Ryan, the buyer on the 6-plex. He paid our down payment on our house. Thanks, Ryan. So it took about a year because it was it was a new build and we custom designed everything in the house. So we went through that process, designed, built the house. Now, once again, because we're real estate investors, this was like in a super hot time. People were fighting over lots. We were able to build a house for way less than it would cost because we have knowledge. We have knowledge, we have relationships. So when we got into the house, we actually had quite a bit of equity when we first got in, but it's even better now. In this house, we live for free. So we bought it for free. Ryan paid our down payment for us, and we have monthly payments. But all of our debt service and utilities are covered by the passive income we have from the properties I've already mentioned. So all that income covers. So like my whole family, we could just never do anything and we don't have to worry about it. It pays, it's a machine, it pays for itself. So we live there for free. In the time that has passed, we've been there for a year and a half. And we have $500,000 in equity in that house now because of the way that we've built it and designed it and with what the market has done. So that's nice. We've got, now we are just finishing up here. We're gonna probably start this, was it September? We'll probably start in October. We haven't started yet. Probably in October, we're gonna start a short-term rental in the basement. The basement, basically the short-term rental is 2 bedrooms, a full kitchen, a family room, a gym, home theater, and then full access to the backyard, which it's a half acre, it's huge. There's swing set, trampoline, big field, a sport court. I mean, it'll all be, we're finishing all right now, so it's gonna be incredible short-term rental. We, on that, and this is really conservative, likely it's gonna be higher, but with the analysis that we've done, we're looking at $2,100 a month net as a short-term rental. With that, in reality, we're gonna net a lot more than $100 a night, but we'll leave it at that. For that, so that breaks down to $25,000 a year. For the basement. Now, once again, if we still have use of everything, like our home theater and everything, I mean, it's the basement, and we can still use it whenever we want, but it's also available for the short-term tenants as well. So that's where we're at right now. This is step 6, free dream home, 500,000 equity, 25 grand a year on that. Let's go to step 7. Break that window. It's okay. Their security deposit's going to pay for it. But they just moved out, and in our first year, we netted 26,000 in the rent. Now, now the rents have gone up, and so we have it listed, and we have a lot of people biting. So that's why one reason why we pushed the tour to this week, because I don't think this is going to be vacant next week. It's going to be occupied. $2,700 a month on the rent for this house for traditional renting. Now, obviously, we have some expenses. We've got property taxes. We have insurance that we have to cover. Everything else is covered by the tenants. They pay all utilities, and the house is free and clear. So we basically, our net, our gross is 32, is 32.4, is 32, but what matters is the net. Our net is 30 a year. On this one, oh, that's a year. Got one more way. Lending. Remember, on this house, we have a HELOC.
Question. So can you increase your HELOC on this one or not anymore?
Yes, we are waiting, because right now we're trying to we built the other house when like a week before we were going to close on the other house. It was when the financial sector of the world went berserk because of the pandemic, and so like tons of things shut down. So we had to start back at square one on how we were going to fund the property where we live now. So that threw a little bit of a wrench in things, otherwise we'd have even more cool things on here. Because of that, we've had to restructure a few things. I mean, it still worked out great. We're trying to find a bank right now who will give us a HELOC for the amount that we want on that house, yeah. Because, I mean, there's a lot of banks that will do 90% loan to value, but how many banks in Utah do you know that will do a $900,000 HELOC?
Yeah.
That's not. Most of them cap at 4 or 5, so we're like, no, you can do more. So we're trying to find somewhere that will give us, when we do that, that's going to open even more opportunities. Once that's in place, we will pull another HELOC on here.
And then
It'll be an investment property.
Not only
HELOC, yeah.
HELOC.
But because of the increase in the value, we'll be able to get a much higher. But with what we're stuck at right now, with what our limit, I feel
Nice
stuck.
place to be stuck, right?
I feel stuck. It's frustrating because we haven't, we've got a bunch more. That's why we're going to sell, because we want to be able to tap into that equity so that we can turn around and put it to work. But either way, we still have $250,000 available here on the line of credit. So what we're doing with that is, of course, putting that to work using another strategy, and where we're lending that and helping out other people. In fact, we just picked up. Where's Juan? Oh, Juan disappeared. He was here just a second. I was at a property with him today. We walked through in Ogden that we purchased yesterday, that we financed for him. So he's doing a flip. He's going to make a bunch of money, him and his partners, and they're super happy. We funded the property so they can pick it up. He wins, we win. Through the lending that we do, so we love doing lending and helping people out, because, I mean, not everybody can be a flipper, not everybody can be a wholesaler, right? People have different interests, and so one of the things we enjoy doing is lending, helping other people be able to make their deals happen. Here at Grandma's old house, Grandma's little house, no money out of pocket, bought it, and just the domino effect from one to the next. So I'd say we did better than just flipping it and selling it, because we made 40 on that. I think we've done a little bit better then 40. We've got, so adding up all the numbers, we've got 475 is our equity now. We made 60 on the babies when we were the direct owner, the landlord versus being the bank. Once we sold it, became the bank. We got another 295 there. Where we live now, where we live free, we've got the $500,000 in equity there, plus the 25,000 a year on the short-term rental. Then we've got the 26 that we already netted on this one, and then now we're going to be doing the 30 because the rent's gone up. 30 a year net, plus the 30 a year net on the equity here. Does that make sense? Lots and lots of numbers. So we're at 1.3 million in earnings, in equity, and $85,000 a year passive income.